Hello, welcome back. Thank you, as always, for tuning in here today. What I want to do here is talk about what it actually looks like to practice A Course in Miracles. What does it actually look like? What could it possibly involve? These are very, very good practical questions. I'm frequently asked this by different people. And it's a question that you may well be asking yourself, because as you proceed through these videos, if you've been watching them, then you'll know that we're going through the text of A Course in Miracles, which can seem highly abstract. That is, in fact, by design, because this is a course in mind training. So some of the ideas may hit home immediately for you. They may make an intense, resonant, practical sense. They could show up as a profound relief, something joyous, loving, and a clarification, perhaps, of something that you've always felt. That's entirely possible. It could also confuse the hell out of you. That too is quite possible. And it happens. Expect that to happen because we're not conditioned in the world to think of each other and ourselves the way this course invites us to think of ourselves. We're just not taught, nor are we encouraged to entertain notions such as there is only perfect oneness. There is no separation of any kind. There is no death. The Son of God is free. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. That one we're not taught in high school biology class, are we? We're not taught, and if you were taught all of these things, fantastic. The vast majority of us were not. So when you recognize you fall into that category, it's no wonder that this course appears to present some challenges. What we're all about in practicing A Course in Miracles is a 180-degree, a complete about face in our perception. We don't see things as they are. We're engaged in what we call spiritual practice in order to see things as they are, because only when we see things truly, when we perceive them truly, then and only then will awakening happen. It, truth, awakening, dawns of itself once we've laid the groundwork, so to speak. Once we've clarified our perception, it's all in our mind. So, what does it actually look like day to day? That's the practical discussion that I want to look at today. And you'll notice whether you've been practicing this course for 30 years, 20 days, or if you're just new, brand new to this and checking this video out because possibly YouTube recommended it or someone else recommended it. This is equally relevant because if you're interested in A Course in Miracles, you'll notice that there is no prescribed formula for how to go about your day. There is no outline format checklist of point one, point 1A, point 1B, 1C, 1C, part one, Roman letter one. Right? It's not like an outline that we would devise in school or that we may see in a table of contents or a technical manual in the world. That's quite by design, which makes this conversation directly relevant for each of us. This is a self-study curriculum. So you could, if you wished, pick up A Course in Miracles, open the text to any page, and start reading wherever you feel called to read. It's self-study. You take what you want to take at a given time. Quite naturally, you take what you're willing to take at a given time. There is only one prescription. That's if you're doing the workbook that you start at lesson 1. Believe it or not, people have leapt right into lesson 275. If you're doing the workbook, the only guideline, outline, or prescription, not really even a rule, but the only thing that even approaches that is the dictate that if you're going through the workbook, that you start at lesson 1 and that you do no more than one idea per day. There are 365 of these lessons, which are ideas that we contemplate and put into practical application. So the workbook is designed that way. That's the only stipulation. One lesson a day, start with lesson 1. That's it. Otherwise, we appear to be on our own. And here is the important point. We are not on our own. The practice of A Course in Miracles involves the guidance, the tutelage, the support, the love of our inner teacher, who's referred to as the Holy Spirit here in A Course in Miracles, and also, I might add, by many other names, such as the voice for God, the answer, teacher, comforter, things like that. The answer with a capital A. As a practical matter, your connection with your inner teacher is paramount. Jesus, by the way, should you feel a strong connection to Jesus, Jesus is the Holy Spirit. As he puts it here in the Course, he has accomplished fully and wholly accomplished his part, i.e., awakening. So he is the Holy Spirit. After all, there is no separation of any kind. So as you go forth in this course, you do so under the guidance of your inner teacher. Call it what you will. I mean, use the masculine pronouns, he, him, if you want to. That's what the Course uses. And that's actually quite deliberate too, because it's familiar. It's familiar to call God he. It's familiar to us. The reality is God, i.e., truth, love, is beyond all of our concepts, including our names and reference, all of them. So, call it what you will. This course, as a practical matter, is all about our getting in touch with our inner teacher and checking in as often as we remember to do so. Checking in with the Holy Spirit. After all, we're invited to do all of this under his guidance. So the more that we check in on the daily, the better. Now, because there's no prescribed formula for how you go about putting this course into daily practical application, it's worth some discussion about how you organize your day. And at this point as a student of the course right along with you. All I can do is tell you what I do, what my wife Cindy does, what we do together, what has worked for us, and you will have to decide in conjunction with your inner teacher what actually works best for you. Again, A Course in Miracles is a self-study curriculum. So what we do is we have a ritual every day. The only time, incidentally, that we deviate from this ritual is when we have to go to the airport and catch a flight early in the morning. So what we do is, with our morning coffee, is we spend some time with God. We spend some time on this course and read a portion of the text. If we're going through the text, if one of us is doing the workbook, we'll do that lesson for the day. And what we have along with that is a meditation. Just any time. What I've found works is in the morning to set the tone, so to speak, for the entire day, to set my personal mindset. I find it indispensable to spend some time studying this course and practicing it, and with a meditation, which for me personally could be a minute or two up to 20 minutes, just depending on the day. But time to connect, that sets my mind for the remainder of the day and reminds me of what's really, really, truly important. So you're invited to do something like that. There are people that do this based on their own schedules, on their own lives, on work schedules, on schedules with family and kids, the dog, things like that. So if this happens to take place for you in the middle of the day or in the evening, so be it. Whatever works for you, the important thing here is consistency. That's what truly matters, is consistency. So for Cindy and me, it is morning coffee time, which is, of course, as we just discussed, heavily influenced by ACIM. So whatever works for you, consistency of routine is important. And if you're just starting out, perhaps you need to find what works for you. Throughout the day, we have forgiveness opportunities. So the second video in this series, which will follow after this one today, we'll talk all about practical forgiveness, and I'll share with you in the next video what I actually say in my mind when I forgive, and give you some practical examples of that so that it may just serve as, hopefully, an inspiration for you. So let's talk about what that actually is here, because this is the practical centerpiece of A Course in Miracles. So in addition to my connection with our inner teacher and setting the tone with what for me is a daily morning ritual practice, I employ something that's very, very important: present moment awareness. Because how can one be expected to solve any problem if one is not aware of the problem? How can you expect yourself to forgive if you're not aware of the need to do so, of the opportunity to do so? So here's the deal. We maintain as much present moment awareness as we can during the day, because life dishes up multiple forgiveness opportunities. Sometimes very obvious, sometimes more subtle on the surface. They're all, in fact, the same, an opportunity to forgive and release. How do we know? Well, anything that is not wholly joyous is, in fact, an opportunity to forgive. Really, anything that is not wholly joyous and full of happiness, radiance, and love, anything that is not that is an opportunity for forgiveness. Anytime you notice, again, present moment awareness, that you're annoyed, or that you're angry, or that you're lashing out and judging, and you find yourself engaged in a mental scenario where you're berating somebody, or worse, punching them, or something like that, where you're doing battle with somebody. When you feel irritated or sad, whatever it is, if it's not wholly joyous, we bring our present moment awareness to this and forgive. We forgive the event, the situation, the people involved. We forgive the way this course teaches us to. And we bring our present moment awareness to this as often as we remember to do it. So, in this sense, our daily lives are, in fact, living, breathing, waking meditations. One of the things that I find really wonderful about the workbook for students is the fact that the daily practice periods are, in fact, meditations. They're meditation sessions. So, whatever your present moment awareness practice looks like, if you're doing the workbook, perhaps it means that you remind yourself of prescribed practice periods, whether it's every 15 minutes or every hour or whatever that looks like. And if you're not doing the workbook, we still need to bring our present moment awareness to every situation so that we may notice when we're carried away by our ego clinging thoughts, with our thoughts of judgment, blame, hatred, guilt, fear, anything not wholly joyous. When we recognize that we're carried away, we bring our awareness back to true forgiveness of the Son of God. It's exactly like a meditation. In fact, it is a meditation, living, breathing, waking. Think of a formal meditation practice. You may be familiar with these, where one is seated or in a comfortable position, whatever that may look like, and is given an instruction to relax the mind and focus it on a single thing, on an anchor, if you will, a point, or the breath, or sound, or something that you see with the body's eyes, or that you visualize mentally. Whatever it is, there is an object of the meditation, and you rest your awareness gently on that without strain. Let all of the thoughts, the flotsam and jetsam, if you will, all the BS, the randomness, let it all come and go. Don't try to stop it, nor follow after it. Just let it go in its own space. Keep your awareness on the object of meditation. That's the traditional seated meditation instruction. When you notice yourself carried away, thinking about your social media feed, for example, thinking about tomorrow's lunch or yesterday's breakfast, or how you need to go to the store, you need to put bread on your list because you forgot it earlier. Oh, wait, I'm meditating. Bring the awareness back to the object of meditation. It's just like that. As soon as you notice the need to forgive, the opportunity, bring your awareness back. And along the way, to the extent that you think of checking in with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, asking for guidance, The more you do that, the better. Something that I have begun to do, I've been doing it for several years, and it has really truly worked in my own experience. And this is something that A Course in Miracles encourages us to do along the way, too, is to give events and situations over to the Holy Spirit for His purposes. In other words, for the purpose of extending love and healing the mind. Give your relationship over to the Holy Spirit for His purposes. If you're going to sit through a meeting today, why not give the meeting over to the Holy Spirit for His purposes? Give the body over to the Holy Spirit for His purposes. That's what's going on right now. You appear to be looking at a middle-aged man. Yet when something lands, it's the Holy Spirit communicating with you. The Holy Spirit will use every channel that you give it, for sure. So we're all invited to give everything over, our entire experience, all of our thought, our jobs, everything that occurs to you. Give it over to your inner teacher. Should you experience some pushback from yourself on this, some fear, understand this, that we're calling the Holy Spirit our inner teacher for a reason. The Holy Spirit is part of you. It's part of our mind. It is this part of our mind that sees through all of our drama, our illusions, and will show us how to set all of it aside, if only we allow it to, if only we let Him. So we find that our daily practice of A Course in Miracles is almost entirely about leaning into this and learning to relax and trust in the guidance of our inner teacher. We are not surrendering our precious experience to an outside power. Again, inner teacher. This is fundamental and central to the daily practice of A Course in Miracles, to the extent that you're serious about relearning or unlearning the old thought system, replacing it with the thought system of the Holy Spirit. You'd do well to nourish, nurture, and emphasize this connection. It's very, very powerful. So I hope that these past few minutes have turned up something for you that may inspire you to practice. If you're already doing it, I hope that it inspires you to keep going at it. There are a number of things that we can do, and it's important to pop in every now and then and have this kind of conversation, this very moment-to-moment practical conversation, because this is self-study, and it can feel like we're on our own. We are never on our own. Our inner teacher is always with us. So too is our brother with us. How can we say this when there appear to be 8 billion of us? No, there's not 8 billion of us. There's one of us. There is no separation of any kind, remember. We're all included in the all in all, capital A. The Son of God, us, the Son of God is the extension of God. Like extends like, yes? We're never alone. In the event that it feels like it, that sense of loneliness, that sense of isolation presents a couple of things. Number one, it is an opportunity to forgive. And it's an opportunity to connect with your inner teacher. It's both at the same time. So we bring our present moment awareness to this as best we can. So do you have a meditation practice? If you do, great. If you don't, and you wish to start one up, you may certainly do that. Again, beyond the prescription of one lesson a day in the workbook, starting with lesson one, there are no rules for practicing this course. So I hope that this has given you some ideas for your own practice. To the extent that you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask. There will be another part of this short series tomorrow when we look at practical forgiveness. So this conversation today is intended to be a primer for that and a backdrop. The two go together. So when the second one drops tomorrow, I invite you to watch them both. Now, I invite you to subscribe if you have not yet joined us. Please do that. The arrow's here in the corner of your screen. That's the prompt. Click that, hover over that. You'll be invited to join us. So please do so. It's a growing international community, and there are a number of videos that appear here each week. Okay? So thank you so much for tuning in here. I will talk to all of you very soon.